Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Got a few things that I'm planning on doing in this video. Most of it involves kind of just gathering the engine and putting it back together. So what that entails is putting the heater core hoses on. I want to put the spark plugs in on the passenger side. I did them on the driver's side, not the passenger side, so I got to gap them, put those in. Now that I have the manifolds in, want to put the oil dipstick tube in. Make sure I don't forget about that. I would also like to get the intake on and start putting the front accessories on as well. That's kind of my envision for what this video is going to have. Whether or not that sticks to that plan, you never know, but that's kind of the goal for this one. I'm going to start with the spark plugs pretty much. Got to gap those, get those to the proper spacing, put those in, which the first three won't be hard to do on that passenger side. It's the rear one that's going to be a little more difficult, just due to the engine bay and how the spark plugs are angled. So we'll see how that goes. But overall, it's pretty much going to be a lot of bolting things on, and hopefully it's easy as said, but as you guys know, working on vehicles, it is never that way. So I've already made this intro long enough. Let's go ahead and get to it. Alright guys, I got my AC Delco spark plug. It is a 4-1 TAC 962. So if I can get this to focus. Alright, now that it's in focus, y'all can see what the number is. It's what I just said. So it is a platinum spark plug. So I don't really know the differences between all of them, and I don't need to really. I think once you start getting more into getting away from naturally aspirated applications, that's when it really matters. But for naturally aspirated, in my opinion, I think it's fine. Run what you want. I want to go with AC Delco just because that is OEM. Yeah, so that's my preference. What I need to do is I need to gap them, and they should come pre-gapped from the factory, but you always want to check. So looking in the Haynes manual, it says it should be 40 thousandths or 0.04 inches. So I got my feeler gauges here. I have a 0.03 and a 0.01. Added up, that is 0.04. So take it, squeeze it together, get your spark plug in, push it in, nice snug fit, just what you want. So this one's gapped. It was already gapped from the factory, but like I said, you want to verify. So I'm going to do this for the other three for that passenger side, and we'll be good to install them. Okay guys, it's been a little bit since I have last updated you. I have finished putting the spark plugs in on this passenger side. I have the coils on the passenger side as well, and I went ahead and started putting the spark plug wires on, but as you can see, there's a lot of excess. So these are the Speed Engineering spark plug wires that came with the headers, and I'm not happy with how much excess there is, so I'm probably just going to go ahead and purchase the stock coil wires and put those in. Those should have less slack and look better than this. Plus, can't really go wrong with AC Delco components, so like I said, I'm going with the OEM ones. Put those in, should be good there. I have also finished tightening up my transmission dipstick tube. Have that done. We did get it pushed all the way back in because when we lowered the transmission to the transmission lines, it came out some, so this is good. Everything works like it. And yeah, so slowly but surely we're making progress on getting this engine put back together. Now, if we move over to this side, this would be the power steering pump. And as you can see, this is the stock bracket that the power steering pump mounts to. And what we are doing is we are going to take this off that stock mount. I did purchase a new mount for power steering pump and the alternator all in one bracket, kind of like how this one is. It looks a lot cleaner. It's definitely more pleasing to the eye to look at, and I'm just going to be more happy with that. So yeah, now we're working on pulling this off. My dad's going to go ahead and explain how we're doing this.
Now we got the puller kit. It's just a little sleeve that fits around the end of the pulley. It has a retaining device, a nut out on it right there actually. You put it all on there, put this sleeve over it so it don't come apart, and theoretically you're supposed to be able to undo it. So you tighten that up, how this works. It is a cheap kit from Harbor Freight, but we only use it a couple times, so it should be good. Or it'll break, one of the two. I might have to use impact on that. I think that's getting it actually.
Looks like it got it.
Did. Get that off.
And looks like just 3 bolts to get it off the bracket.
Yep. And paint that and clean it up. I mean, the same device installs it back onto the shaft whenever you get ready to put it back on. All right, we're gonna put the harmonic balancer on now. We've cleaned it up. Well, he's painted the thing, but oiled up the snout where it goes in, and we'll put it in. I've made a special tool to put it on. Don't hammer these on because it's not good for your thrust bearing on your motor. So I've taken a bolt and threads in, and working spacers. And what we'll do is we'll pull them in. Maybe. Bottoms out right there. So now the bolt should get it now. You don't like much being on there all the way. Look, and you can see it there. So now we put the regular bolt in. There it is, installed. Good to go.
Alright guys, it's the next day and I have been putting some work into the engine. You can see the intake's on. That is not staying on. I was doing a test fit, but what I did get done is I went ahead and threw on the heater core lines just to see the clearance in there. If I pull the light up, you can see it's very tight. That lower one probably needs to come out just a hair more, but I know they fit as they are, so that is good. And if you look here, you put the light down. If you look here, this is the fuel line coming up the fuel rail. I got the length correct on it now. It was all the way out here before and it would have been really hard to put on, so now I actually have it to where it is the right length. So that's pretty much all I had the intake on for, was clearancing and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and take it off and I will show you the back end side of what I have done. Now I have the intake off and you can see I went ahead and drilled a hole, put a rib nut in, and went ahead and put a P-clamp on the fuel line to the correct length. I just pushed more under. I did go under the truck and tighten it up. I put another P-clamp connected to a bolt I found on the transmission that wasn't being utilized, so this line should be secured all the way through. And if you look at the heater core lines, I don't have any clamps on it yet. I didn't want to in case I needed to remove some of these lines or remove these hoses and do some more bending, which I think I am on this lower one like I said before. So I will go ahead and do that and get that taken care of. Probably won't update you guys on that because that's not quite as important. I'm explaining it to you right now. But overall, not bad progress. Alright guys, back out here for another day. As you can see, I have my new spark plug wire. So this is the AC Delco spark plug wire on the left. The right is the Speed Engineering, and you can see there's a significant length difference on there. I mean, I have them butted up to each other at the top with the boots coming down, and you can see this one's several inches shorter than the Speed Engineering one. So went ahead and got the right size there, and those will make the bay look a lot better. So I already put one on this side. Kind of hard to see. Let me pull the light out. So I Alright, already got this one in, and you can see how much shorter it is and how much better it looks. As opposed to like this side, we have so much slack, and yeah, that just doesn't look good. So I'm going to go ahead and replace all of the Speed Engineering spark plug wires with the AC Delco ones. I'm not saying these are bad wires, they're just too long for my need. I did want to specify that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and change them out. New spark plug wires are in. Everything turned out a lot better. So you can see there's a lot less slack here, and everything just looks really good. So got that done. Time to move on to the next object. Probably the heater core lines or hoses. I need to bend that lower one out. I haven't done that yet, so go ahead and do that. Put the clamps on, and we are going to be really close to putting this intake on now. Alright, I haven't done a great job at filming, but I've already started this process, so you can see my intake manifold here. I have went ahead and cleaned it as best I could on the inside using rags or a compressed air hose to blow everything out that I can, and just wiping what I can from where I can reach on the inside with a rag. So I have done all I could on that, and I am working on the mating surface between the throttle body and the intake manifold. So I believe that the Trailblazer SS intake, which this is, came with a 89mm throttle body, and I have moved up to a 92mm, as you can see. I believe this is the Speed Engineering throttle body. When you go up to a bigger throttle body, that creates on the inside a lip, and now you're not going to be able to see it from here, but there is a lip whenever the throttle body transitions over to the intake manifold. So there's a lip, and what that's going to do is it's going to disrupt airflow, and an engine is basically a big air pump, so you do not want that to happen. You want it to be as smooth as possible. You do not want that lip causing turbulent airflow. While you're probably not going to see a huge performance increase, it is a minuscule increase, but an increase nonetheless. I want to get all the performance I can out of this, so I'm going to transition that into a smoother taper, at least what I can do to get rid of that lip. So what I have done is I have opened this and taken a Sharpie. You can see the lip, so I took the Sharpie and marked it on the lip, and that will show you how far down you need to go pretty much. That's all I was using it for. So I'm going to go ahead, take this off, and I will show you what I mean. Alright, so if you're already looking here, you can see I have kind of tapered it already. I've actually been taking a deburring tool and just going along it to try to get the initial taper on there. It works some. I mean, if you don't have a Dremel or sandpaper or anything, that would be the way to go, because at least you're making it a little bit smoother of a transition, but it's still a sharp transition nonetheless. So you should be able to, well, if I get it in focus, got it in focus. So I did take the Sharpie and mark along this when I had the throttle body on. So there are some marks from the Sharpie on here, and that gives me my indication on how far down I need to go with removing material. I don't want to go too far. You really just want it to be a smooth transition, so it's better to take a little off, check. If it's not enough, take a little more off, but it won't kill you if you do take too much material off. It's just not ideal. I'm going to go ahead and start making this transition even more prominent, because this is not a very prominent transition. There's still a lip when you have the throttle body on. So I'm going to work on that, and then I will work on tapering it off to the rest of the intake, again, to try to keep that laminar flow. So that is the goal, and I will update y'all when I have finished that. As you can see, guys, I just finished porting this intake. You can definitely see the difference between where I had the Dremel and where I have not touched it. And I will say it is a lot smoother of a transition. So I don't have the throttle body on right now just so you can see, but I just tested it a little bit ago and it felt amazing, the transition, and you know, just getting it from here to taper, where it will provide a nice laminar flow. It won't cause any turbulence, any disruption in the airflow, and it will just be nice and dandy pretty much. I mean, it's not much, but a little bit of time like this, 10 minutes, and you can have a little bit more performance. Like I said before, it's not much, but you know, while I'm here and I have the engine apart, I'm going to go ahead and do it. There's no reason not to, so I got that done. The throttle body's ready to go back on for basically the final time, and then I'm going to clean up the intake manifold. You can see it's a little dusty. I want to clean that up before I put it in the truck, but we're pretty much ready for this to go in the truck now. Alright guys, back for another day, and as you can see, I have all the bolts I need now for my intake manifold. I was able to buy them through ICT Billet. They should be M6 by 75 mil. I'll correct that if I'm wrong. But yeah, I'll put a link to this kit down in the bottom for the bolts. I already tested one bolt out and it fits well on the truck, so we are pretty much ready to go ahead and put the intake manifold on. So go ahead and cut to that now. Okay, so as you all saw, I went ahead and bolted the intake manifold on. I did end up taking it off once, and I believe that'll show up in the time lapse, but that was due to me thinking that the intake gasket wasn't on correctly. It didn't seem lined up, so I took it off. I only had it torqued to the first stage, not the second stage, so I think we're going to be good with that. The first stage was about 44 foot-pounds, and the second stage was 89 foot-pounds, so inch-pounds, not foot-pounds. 44 inch-pounds, 89 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds. You will break the bolts with foot-pounds. So I was able to get those on, so the intake manifold is now firmly on the truck. And now is the fun part. We gotta hook up all the fuel injectors, sensors, etc. to get these lines on, hoses, put the fuel line on, get everything connected, and then I might even put the throttle cable and the cruise control cable on. I do have a cool bracket that I purchased that will fit. I'm also probably going to take the throttle body on because I realized the Felpro kit I bought also has a new throttle body gasket, so more than likely I will be putting that on as well. Alright y'all, I made a little bit more progress on the intake. So I got the hose at the rear of the intake trimmed down and connected to the brake booster. I was going to put this one on the back of the valve cover on this driver's side, but there is a split in the boot preventing it from, there it is, preventing it from clamping pretty well. So yeah, can't use that. I'm going to have to order a new one of those. I did take the intake off and put a new intake gasket on like I mentioned did I say intake? I did take the throttle body off and put a new throttle body gasket on. It's pretty easy, just a ring that slides in. Took the old one out. I could do that by hand. Let's see. I also did all the wiring for the fuel injectors. So I got all the fuel injectors on this side, fuel injectors on this side, map sensor. Actually, I can now put the throttle position sensor, and I don't remember what the other one is off the top of my head. Here we are. So let's go ahead and take this and snap it in. Same thing with the bottom one. Snap it in, and it should snap in nice and crisp. These are brand new connectors because I did rewiring. And next I have the throttle cable, which I don't know which one's which. This is one of them. Either the throttle, I believe that one's the throttle, is the cruise control, I think. So throttle and cruise control, I do plan on retaining both of those options, and I actually have a pretty cool bracket for hooking this up. I'm going to go ahead and get that out. As far as the Trailblazer SS intake goes, Glen Auto Performance has had a lot of parts for it that I have found useful for my swap so far. That's where I got my fuel filter regulator and this throttle and cruise control cable bracket. So let's take this, open it up. I am not sponsored, by the way. I purchased this up with my own money. So let's see what we got in here. Open this up. We got the bracket, and as you can see, they have gap cut in there. So there's the bracket. We also have a pin that says Glen Auto Performance. We have the hardware for it, and a couple stickers, and I think instructions as well. So pretty cool. Comes with all that stuff. But yeah, this is the big part. It's the actual bracket that we're going to use to put it on, and the hardware for it. So cool that it comes with that, and I will show you where this goes here in a second. Alright guys, I got the bracket right here. It actually mounts where these two bolts are that usually hold the cover for your intake. I don't have a cover for my intake, so I don't need to worry about it, but go ahead and take these bolts out. And then it lines up pretty well with that. So if you did want to run the intake, I'm sure you could use these bolts, or if you did want to run the cover, I'm sure you could just use these bolts, but I do not plan on using them. So I'm going to go ahead and bust out the bolts that it came with, which happen to be the same style that I've been using, the socket head cap screws. You can see that. So let's go ahead and get these started. Alright, so it is slotted. I would assume that is so you can get your tension settings right on your cables. Alright guys, I got the bracket on, as you can see, pretty easy to put on. Only thing is, when it goes to close, it does not close all the way, so I'm going to have to figure that out. I don't know if that's just the bracket or what. If it is the bracket, I might have to go in and make these slots longer. I was kind of hoping it would work perfectly, but as you can see, there is a little bit of an issue, so if I'm going to want this to work right, I'm just going to have to figure that out. But yeah, once I get that issue sorted out, this will be good to go, essentially. What's up guys, another day working on the truck. I have already started working on it a little bit. I will go ahead and show you the progress I've made. So, looking at the truck right here, you can see I have put the water pump on. Wasn't too bad. 6 bolts here, 3 on each side. You got the gaskets on there behind it. You torque it down to 132 foot-pounds and then follow it up with 20. Scratch that again. You start off 132 inch-pounds, and then you crank it up to 22 foot-pounds. Don't get those units mixed up like I just did. And then it's on there, it's good, ready to roll. Also put the thermostat on. So this is, I think both are AC Delco. I just went with OE because you can't really beat the OEM quality here. So yeah, AC Delco on everything. And next is to continue on with the accessory drive. So I have bought a Speed Engineering bracket that will hold the alternator and the power steering pump together. So one big bracket. Come along on this right side, it is like a billet aluminum. So yeah, next is to assemble that and put it on. As you guys can see, I have gotten the bracket on for the alternator and the power steering pump. Very tight fit for the power steering pump. Just a lot of lines and whatnot for power steering and where the steering gearbox is, that makes it a very tight fit. As you can see, I don't have the pulley on yet. That's because we ran into an issue. Try to put the pulley on and it is hitting the steering gearbox. Not good. You don't want it to hit, so you get this up to right about where you need to be. It's actually hitting on the bolt here, so not good. I am probably going to look into an underdrive pulley for this, get one a little smaller to make the clearance work, because right now we have no clearance. But yeah, probably gonna wrap it up for the day, go do some research on that. Also want to get some new pulleys with bearings for the idler pulley and the tensioning pulley. That's the word I was looking for. So yeah, I want to look at getting new idler pulleys and tensioning pulley. That way I have fresh bearings on everything. Don't want any squeaks or anything of that sort, so got to do that. Get it all nice and fresh. But yeah, probably gonna wrap it up for the day, and I'll catch you guys when I come back. Alright guys, it's been some time since last time I filmed, but I left you, let's see how I want to say this. Alright guys, it's been a little bit since the last time I filmed. Last time I left you off, I just put this bracket on for the alternator and power steering pump. Since then, I have put idler pulley on and the tensioner pulley. Went ahead and got new ones of those with fresh bearings, so I don't have to worry about the serpentine belt or driveline making any noises, or just having to worry about it in general. We also hooked up all the power steering lines. We put the regulator in because we are going with a smaller pulley, because the stock pulley was hitting the actual steering gear. Here is the pulley. This is a 5-inch diameter pulley, which is 1 inch in diameter smaller than the stock pulley. And just holding it up, you can tell there is a lot more room in between. So that's what I had to do. I also had to get a new belt. I will put the part numbers for the pulley and the belt up. Of course, the pulley only works in the configuration I have it, so that may vary on your end. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put this pulley on. So from what I understand, this pulley has to go on a little further than the stock pulley because of the depths on it. So we're gonna have to try getting it aligned. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put it on now. Alright, so last time we ran into the issue with these hex head bolts where these were actually too far off this mounting bracket to where the pulley would interfere, the power steering pulley would. So we switched to these pan head socket bolts to try to mitigate that. They're a little shorter, so they should give us a little more clearance. Ideally, we could also have done countersunk bolts, but yeah, we didn't. This is what we had, so now we're gonna go ahead and try putting the power steering pulley on. Again, yep. And get it sucked up to where we can actually put the belt on. As y'all just saw, we could not finish putting the pulley on. We put it in the correct orientation, or so we thought. And yeah, the center mass of the pulley was actually touching the face of the bracket, so to get it level with everything, it wouldn't have been able to spin. So we ended up having to pull it back off, and then we had to turn it around backwards, and we were actually able to get it on far enough backwards to where the belt would actually line up and we could have it spin freely, essentially. So you can see the belt's on and everything is good in that manner. I know this was a longer video. If you stayed to the end, thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.